Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Team Big Plays. So today what I got for y'all is a video about YCS Chicago. So YCS Chicago just happened a couple days ago, and it's looking pretty interesting with the decks that showed up and in what amounts, variations. This format is definitely changing since the ban list and since Savage Strike. So, but before we get started, I just want to remind you to hit like, subscribe, notification bell, and that we will be doing a mat giveaway on Friday. We'll announce who won that mat. So all you have to do is like, subscribe, notification bell to enter. However, if you would like to, we do have a Twitter, and I encourage that you follow that, so that way you can kind of keep up on posts and news on what's going on, what events we'll be going to. So yeah, I guess let's just get into the video. So yeah, here is the official picture, as you can see down there, Facebook, Lunalights. He made this. So 32% of the makeup that topped, because I think this is top 16, or top 32, were Sky Strikers. Now, Sky Strikers ended up getting, what was it, 10? Yeah, 10 out of the 32. That's right, 32%. All right, so they got 10 out of 32% of the makeup for the meta decks. Then Thunder Dragons, and this isn't even pure Thunder Dragons. This is just Danger Thunder Dragons, made up 9 of the 32 decks. And then pure Thunder Dragons only made up 1. It looks like here, though, he kind of, bunched them together just for the sake of it. But, yeah, so obviously things there haven't changed too much, looking at the graph, of course. But if you kind of look around, look at the vlogs and stuff about YCS Chicago, you'll actually learn Sky Striker now seems to start to incorporate a Dino Wrestler engine, and Thunder Dragon seems to incorporate Danger a lot more. As you can tell, only one was pure Thunder Dragon. So before we get to the other decks, which you can see there's a lot of variety there, but let me kind of explain to you the Sky Striker, Pankratops, the Dino Wrestler kind of aspect of it. So in Sky Striker, a lot of the times, at least when I played Trickstar Sky Striker, I would run Foolish Burial Goods just because it gets another spell in your grave, and then like if you have Ray and you have Hornet Drones in your grave, Foolish, Hornet Drones, normal Ray, Kagari, add Hornet Drone, normal Sky Striker shenanigans. But what they do is they use Foolish to send the field spell, and then the field spell has an effect. If this card's in the graveyard, you can banish it to add one Dino Wrestler monster from your deck, which you would add then Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Now, if you didn't know, Dino Wrestler Pankratops effect states that you contribute one Dino Wrestler monster on the field to destroy one card your opponent controls. So kind of looking at this, first of all, it works really well because it gets rid of itself. It can pop itself. So even though it's in the main monster zone, you can just pop itself, and it's a quick effect to get rid of cards that, kind of hurt your strategy. Like, if your opponent flips Imperial Order on you, that's a big problem. Village of the Spellcasters, the only way around that is Clara and Rushka. And it kind of fills that niche spot that I think Sky Strikers have kind of been needing for a while, because Jamming Waves doesn't deal with face-ups. I don't think it does anyways. It's been a while since I played it, because I played a very small engine in my Trickstars. But yeah, so I think that's very, very interesting how they do it. I forget what the ratios were, the girl that ran it. I think it was like 1 field spell. I would imagine probably 1 or 2 Pankratops, and then like 3 Foolish, maybe 3 Pankratops, because, drawing into it's not a bad thing. Then, of course, there's the implication of Sky Striker Ace Kaina, which I think has done some contributing in this, because, if your Sky Striker monster gets destroyed, you don't have a lot of wiggle room as far as OTK. You might just get knocked out that turn because they don't have a lot of attack and defense. But then you have Kaina here, who can, say, oh, this monster can't attack when it's summoned, and then you can use that to gain life points. which I think is kind of something Sky Striker has been missing. So, moving past Sky Striker, now we're on to Thunder Dragons. Danger, Thunder Dragon. Pretty interesting. I forget what exactly card they would discard. Was it Roar or Hawk? One of those two into the graveyard. Off the dangers would be the preferable choice here, but I don't know. I guess because, dangers have that high attack aspect. They can get you to your key cards that, you need to see, especially since, Gold Sarcophagus is at 1. You can just use the dangers to dig to that, as well as not only that, then you can put more bodies on the board just to say, screw you to your opponent, essentially, and just kill them as fast as possible, which is, I think, something Thunder Dragons have been struggling to deal with, because people are always ready for, like, Triple Colossus or Titan and Double Colossus, not Saryuja or Titan Colossus, Danger Bigfoot, Ogopogo, like, those big boys, and a lot of them, because that definitely creates a problem if your opponent can't get into you directly, But other than that, I think that's kind of a good engine, get stuff in the graveyard, which they have a couple effects that trigger like that. However, it didn't seem to be a problem, moving on to these smaller ones, for our winner of YCS Chicago 2019, Lunalights. So every card on there that says 3%, one, like they were a single of deck, and then the 6% were decks that 2 of them made it. So we have Lunalights. First of all, this was not pure Lunalights. This was Dangers. So in a lot of these decks, the Orcus was a Danger build. Pure Danger, of course. I don't know if Crusadia or Subterras ran the Dangers. I think ABC may possibly or possibly not have run Dangers. I can see it working, but, only to some degree. Well, actually, no. Yeah, that would work really well because that gets them in the graveyard. Okay, so maybe it was a Danger ABC. But either way, Lunalights won the event because, they can get out their beater. If you didn't know, most of them, the fusions, either can't be destroyed by card effects or can't be targeted by them. And then they have really high attack. Not only that, Lunalights have a very weird synergy with Phantom Knights. And very, very much with the Raid Raptor link, but that's not out yet. So basically what they can also do is they can go Time Fee Free Doer and then go into Outer Entity as a thought on their opponent's turn. So their opponent can't use any monster effects. So that becomes very problematic for most of these decks that you see here. The only one, honestly, that I don't see it become a problem with is Sky Striker, Pendulum Magicians, depending on what hand. Maybe Thunder Dragons or Cyber Dragons. Yeah, so you can see why that would cause a lot of problems. Prank Kids, I'm a Prank Kids player. Of course, I probably invoked Prank Kids, so I might have a bit better of a time here. But, yeah, it's basically all monster effects. Orcists, all monster effects from the grave. ABC, I can see doing a bit better because, they can get out there. I don't even necessarily know. I forget. ABC Dragon Buster, they can get that out. And then Subterras, all flip effects. Danger are all monster effects that happen in the hand. In order to even special them out on the field. Trickstar, you got a normal Candina in order to get into your now Caliban or Lilybell, or, Eater of Millions effects. Pendulum Magicians. The only reason they wouldn't have a hard time is if they open up a hand where they can, get into one of their bigger monsters. But that's very rare because that would require them to just Pendulum Summon straight out without using Dragon Shrine or Foolish for Dark Worm or Curtain Caller. So, obviously that causes a lot of problems. And Lunalight just summons these beaters out of nowhere that can attack multiple times. I think one does piercing. So you can't necessarily just set against them. So your main option is just like, well, shoot. I guess I'll go first. Hopefully, maybe, depending on if I won the dice roll first or not. So, yeah, so I definitely think that's interesting, as well as, you see a lot of diversity here. So, first time we see the implication of the guard dragons. The Crusadia deck was a Crusadia guard dragon build. I think that was very good to kind of boost Crusadias in general. And luckily for us, we don't have Gandora FTK because of, I think, something to do with the wording of Equamax saying in the TCG that it's not its original attack that gains, or maybe the wording of Gandora X. But, so, shout-outs to Crusadia definitely for doing good. Subterror, because you see no Altergeist on here, for me, it looks like Subterror just completely took the place of Altergeists, and even then didn't, kind of live up to what it used to be, because there are so many decks, which I honestly think is good. I kind of like Subterrors as a deck. I think they fill in a bit better of a niche than Altergeists, because, something I forget whose channel, I think I was watching Farfa or, Mega Capital G, when they were saying part of the problem for Altergeist is that they are a back row deck, and that there's just so much back row removal today, which is true. You could play classic MST, you could play Twister, I don't necessarily know why you would play that, because to me that just seems like an egg, but if you play it, you play it. Twin Twister, really good option, because you're popping 2. Of course, there's Red Reboot, there's Hey Trunade, Giant Trunade isn't off yet, sadly. Cosmic Cyclone, which is, in my personal opinion, my card of choice to run in Prank Kids for that removal. And then, of course, there's Floodgates like Royal Decree. That just shut Altergeists down, which is kind of sad, because it was a trap deck that was doing really good for a while. And I do kind of like to see trap decks kind of win. I think they're fun, in a sense. But clearly they, didn't make top cut. Looks like they got replaced with Subterror as the new control deck in that aspect. So, and then another thing I want to talk about is the dangers. Are they healthy or not for this format? Personally, I think, yeah, they're not too bad. Part of the problem that people say is, they allow you to draw into your deck, and then you can search and do all kinds of this crazy shit, and I'm just like, well, yeah, but let's take Dark Neostorm as a set, for example. Let's say you ban all dangers out of nowhere. Well, then you have Destiny heroes to deal with that do the exact same thing, and not only that, they can draw straight into Exodia, which, is an FTK. That's an actual FTK. I don't know if it's necessarily in Japan, but I have seen it running around on Dueling Nexus, and it's pain in the ass because it's an FTK. As well as, too, I think dangers give the ability for these rogue decks to step up their game a little bit, get to their consistency cards. Like, dangers give other decks that ability, which, obviously we see here. We see Cyber Dragon, we see Trickstar, we see Magician. Well, Pendulums have kind of always been up there. We see ABC, we see Orcus, we see Lunalights and Crusadias, which are completely out of the blue, even though I would say Crusadia is probably mostly in part to guard dragons, but which I think is good. I think it's healthy. It's a bit more fun to be able to have all these different rogue decks, even though I wouldn't say Prank Kids are rogue, but all these different rogue decks in the meta with these big, specifically competitive built decks, and it gives a lot of freedom and creativity to the players as well. Something at school that I've kind of realized is it's not fun to go against the same deck every single time that just whoops your ass consistently. It's not necessarily more about losing, is that you keep losing to the same thing, and then it's not fun. There's no build up, there's no climax of the duel that this seems to provide, and I think dangers, help out a lot with that. I think it's even interesting to see dangers themselves as just a pure engine, because I haven't seen dangers as a pure engine, which I'd like to note. Danger Ogopogo, I think it's supposed to go with Danger Chupacabra. I think that's kind of how they're supposed to coincide, but honestly, I'll I like Ogopogo as a card, but honestly, I think maybe they should release one more danger card that can kind of work with it better just to give it that boost. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is just a really good year for Yu-Gi-Oh! And the meta in general. Obviously, we're in a situation where the meta is really shifting up since we got rid of cards like Rongo and Gumblar, even though honestly, those didn't do so well in the last YCS. So, I don't know. Claps. Good job. Big plays from these rogue decks, obviously. So, yeah, I think we're in a really good spot right now. What else? I'm trying to think. I think there was like one other thing I wanted to mention, but I'm not quite sure what it was. Kind of went over my head. I don't know. So as far as what could happen in the future, potentially, witchcrafts, I already see them being used, and I mean, I don't see them as I predict, I foretell. I mean, I actually see them using in ritual decks with, Herald of Perfection and stuff. Spellcaster-based ritual decks. And they're already good. Obviously, there's the XZ thing with trains. I've seen that. That's pretty good. I went against it once. The only reason I was able to shut it down is because I had 2 Effect Veiler, which was basically my Saving Grace 2 Effect Veiler and a Cosmic Cyclone, which is all that really was able to kind of help me in that situation. So, obviously, Orchids are making a comeback, and they don't even have their counter trap yet. Dangerous. So, good job there, ABC. I like seeing ABC there. I think it's a good deck. I think it's a bit more fun, a bit more fair to kind of deal with in general, especially because, it reminds you of XYZ's, the DM era. Technically, I guess you could say ABCs are DM, even though they kind of released an Arc 5. So, which is another thing to note. A lot of these are Arc 5 decks. I guess I wouldn't say Cyber Dragon. Subterrors, Lunalights, ABCs, Pendulum Magicians. So I think that's just something interesting to kind of throw in there too, just for, bit of that food for thought. So I'm really interested to see how it kind of turns out with a lot of these new decks. I've heard stuff about Evil Eye. Honestly, I don't think Evil Eye is going anywhere. Neospatians? Maybe. Trying to think of what other decks. Neospatian, obviously Destiny Hero FTK is going to be a thing. Just because it's an Exodia FTK, which I think seems pretty fun. But then, what would you even side against that? I guess Droll and Lockbird, Light Force Sword. Well, no, because that's a bit random. Aqua Dolphin, Warrior decks make a return. Maybe. I don't know. Good thing we don't have Needle Fiber, I guess. But yeah, that's just going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. We don't want it too long. It's already at probably 18 minutes and something. So yeah, Team Big Play signing off.